We continue our story on the episode Nemesis Prime. And believe it or not, there aren't going to be too many changes to this episode. We already know how this episode starts off. Agent Fowler going for the best drive of his life. Nothing bad could ever happen. Oh, wait, we forgot what it actually did happen. You ain't even safe on the road, bro. And he almost get ran over by Nemesis Prime, just like in the original. However, unlike the original, it's actually not RC, or I believe it was either Boneby or Bulkhead that actually goes to save him. It's actually Override in this timeline. Considering that Optimus is out, keep in mind she is an elite guard commander, and well, she's essentially the second in command here. So with that being said, yeah, she actually does save Agent Fowler, and RC goes on to pursue Nemesis Prime far quicker than the original, and yeah, you still gonna get run over, baby. I'm sorry. You gonna get hit by a truck regardless. It is what it is. And so Override does go to check on RC, and well, they kind of think it's not Optimus, but they kind of get a better confirmation when Optimus and Cosmos both return together, and Cosmos kind of vouches for him like, what do y'all mean Optimus went full rogue here? I'm standing right here with him. I mean, he was okay. I mean, they just went to the Energon mine, killed some Decepticons, and bought back some Energon. Like, geez. But this is where they, do confirm that it's not Optimus. And, well, everything does go the same, except, obviously, Cosmos would not be on this mission because it's at a military base. Albeit, I do probably think that he'd be a little too overpowered for this moment. So, yeah, let's pretty much go to it. With Wheeljack and Hotshot both there, and both of them being sword users, this actually makes it a whole lot more easier for Nemesis Prime to go down. They don't beat him. No, that he still manages to, ambush them and knock them out. However, Wheeljack being a sword user and, Hotshot also being a sword user, they're not only able to cut Nemesis Prime, but cut him in vulnerable areas as due to their, skill level. So this means that when he actually goes for Optimus, Override actually is able to come in and jump him, meaning that Override is able to cause more damage, and with her and Optimus being able to work together, this means that it becomes way too much for Nemesis Prime, and obviously he collapses and falls down on Silas just like in the original. However, unlike the original, when Agent Fowler goes back to, find him, he's not there. But we want to end the episode here. We would actually end it off with Ratchet and Cosmos going to the Harbinger. And Cosmos asks, so why are we here? Thought this place was pretty much abandoned afterwards, or we didn't really find anything but the immobilizer. Or at least you guys did, right? And so Ratchet's like, yeah, true, but I have a hunch that something's here. And I believe we may be able to actually use some of the Decepticon engineering, considering it always has been a bit more advanced than, well, ours. And this is where Ratchet finds the protoforms. And Cosmos is actually looking around the, ship and stuff, opening canisters and stuff, and finding really nothing. However, this is where Cosmos also spots the protoforms with Ratchet, and they're actually discussing, like, wait, we could actually use this to make whatever we want. And Ratchet's like, yeah. Oh, you're right. Whatever we want. However, this is where Cosmos actually begins looking around the ship again to see, like, okay, maybe we can find some way to actually use this. Ooh, look, a space bridge transporter. But he knocks over a canister, or at least a container, and it reveals a Predacon fossil, still fully intact. And this is where Ratchet and Cosmos both look at each other, back to the fossil, then back to each other. And Cosmos like, you thinking what I'm thinking? And Ratchet's like, heck yeah, let's get everything transported and let's get started. Now, some of the episodes here, we're going to take a repeat for a moment, do not happen, meaning we could actually add some stuff here. So, Armada doesn't happen because they found the Insecticon hive earlier. And we also don't need Flying Mine because the ship never gets damaged. And Grill pretty much happens just the same. So, this means we could actually go ahead a little bit and simply talk about, I guess you could say, kind of a middle episode here, where it's not too much happening. And I would actually call it the long haul, no pun intended. And this is where we actually go to Autobot, or, the Autobot's original secondary base, Hangar E, which is actually going to be used in this one as Ratchet and Cosmos's laboratory. And this actually is pretty important, as they are working on the protoforms combined with the Predacon CNA. Keep in mind, it would just took Starscream's own Energon just to create protoforms and to even give them TCOGs. So they wouldn't really worry about that. But again, they would be speculating on how to really manipulate it and pretty much use it. But as they're doing this here, only a few Autobots really know about what they're doing. And Cosmos and Ratchet actually working together actually do make quick progress. They're actually even making progress on one of Ratchet's old formulas with synthetic energon, meaning that these two actually working together get some stuff done. And I actually do like the idea of having Cosmos being a little bit of a brainy person, considering he does like to study space. So I actually have him being a warrior, but he's also a scientist. Kind of helps out, right? But this is where Optimus and Override do come to the facility. And this is where Cosmos is like, hey guys, we're not done just yet. We're still kind of working out the schematics of everything, but I guess we can say we're kind of afraid of the fact that you guys may not approve of it. To which Override is like, well, you are using the Predacon fossil, and maybe you guys can actually just rewrite Shockwave's programming entirely. But I'm not too sure about it. And this is where Ratchet does talk to Optimus, saying that he understands it's risky. But with Six Shot here and everything he's capable of, we thought that maybe we could make something worthwhile. And this is where Optimus says, actually, I'm not here to show any disapproval. Actually, the opposite. Believe it or not, I do think that this could actually be our edge, considering Six Shot's heat, or Six Shot's armor, is capable of, withstanding anything. And he thinks that Predacon fire might actually be a solution. To which Ratchet and Cosmos are kind of like, oh geez, Optimus can be a total nerd sometimes. But at the same time, they actually think that maybe that is a way. And perhaps maybe they can even develop a weapon to counter Six Shot. To which this is where Override says, good. She wants to be the first one to test it when things come around. And so this is where we would honestly just kind of end off with Ratchet and Cosmos probably working double time now. I mean, I would probably say they are a bit more comfortable with the project now, and the fact that Optimus approves and, Override also approves of this, and the fact that now they have an idea on what they can do. They even work on more things, considering the fact that not only are they close to perfecting the synthetic energon, but they're also close to basically making these, Autobot-based Predacons. And again, two heads are better than one. Okay? It just makes it so much easier for the Autobots to get stuff done. Imagine if Ratchet actually had another smart opponent, or sorry, not smart opponent, another, scientific or intelligent ally than the original. Imagine if they actually had classic Wheeljack, which will be explored in what if Team Devastation was in Transformers Prime? It is what it is. But this is where we head off to the Decepticon warship. And Megatron is straight cheesing. If he could start dancing, he would right now. This man has his super weapon, one of his most loyal soldiers, and now an updated and upgraded army in the Insecticons. And this is where we actually see him discussing that with Hardshell, Six Shot, and Dreadwing, saying that with the relics almost decoded, I do believe it is time we actually talk about possibly expanding our forces a bit more, into which some of them are confused. And keep in mind, Breakdown and Knockout are kind of doing their own thing, with Knockout actually working on, I guess you say, his strand of the synthetic energon formula, so we'll, keep that around still. And we also have Breakdown just enjoying the Viacons in the Energon mine. So I think it's actually pretty noted that Breakdown is actually pretty friendly towards Viacons more than other Decepticons. So, it is what it is. But again, this is where Hardshell simply suggests perhaps we can make our own reinforcements. What was that ship you called? To which Six Shot is like, oh, yeah, the Harbinger, right? The one that Starscream completely blundered. And to which Megatron is like, perhaps that ship could have been useful, but Nothing was ever reported back from Arachnid, nor even Starscream, unfortunately. But this is where he actually gets a communication, or at least a communication notification from one of the Viacons in the mines. To which Megatron is like, put it through. And the Viacon says, Lord Megatron, we have something you may want to see. To which Megatron's like, okay, well, bring it on. And this is where he actually gets to see a Decepticon space pod. And Megatron is actually interested in this. So is, Six Shot, and so is Dreadwing. They're all interested in this at the moment. And this is where, we see Megatron like, what? Another Decepticon pod on Earth? He thought Skyquake was the only one. Bring it to me at once. Yes, Lord Megatron. And so, Space Bridge opens thanks to Soundwave, and two Viacon miners pretty much just come through and, bring in the space pod. And then Megatron is like, good, now open it. To which Megatron is going to wish he didn't open it, as the Decepticon that pops out looks around and then looks at him. And it's none other than everyone's favorite D1 Glazer, Lugnut. Yeah, bro comes in, or, awakens, looks around, and he's like, oh my god. To Megatron's like, no, not him. And to which Lugnut immediately gets on his knees in front of Megatron and immediately starts going, for my glorious leader, Lord Megatron, has found me after all these years. I am here to serve you, worship you, and even tend to your needs if it may be. To which some of the Viacons kind of look at each other, and then Six Shot is trying to hide his laughter like, oh my god, no. We can't be serious, oh my gosh. So, yeah, Lugnut once again makes his way into another one of my what-ifs, because I love him. I really do. He's my favorite. I think I would definitely have to say my second favorite Decepticon. And I kind of like the idea of Megatron, even Prime version of Megatron, having to deal with this constant version or constant state of glaze. And this is where Dreadwing kind of just adds insult to injury, like, well, may you serve Megatron well. And this just kind of ups Lugnut's glazing, to which he's kind of like, oh, yeah, my bad. So, believe it or not, Lugnut does stop and actually heads off with Dreadwing to get his vehicle mode, giving Megatron a break. To which Six Shot finally lets out his laughter and is like, geez, you sure know how to pick your loyalists, don't you? To which Megatron is like, please, for the love of Primus himself, don't remind me. And that's where we're going to leave it off here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe, and share with your friends. I know this was pretty a mild and cool down chapter and stuff like that, but we are going to get into the relic hunt next. So be sure to comment down below, like and subscribe, and share with your friends. And I do hope you guys have a blessed day and stay safe out there with how this year is going. Peace.